My daughter blocked me from attending her wedding, so I canceled the wedding venue I paid for. It's incredibly tough when things go sideways with your family, especially when it's your own children who are involved. It feels like they have a special power to hurt you deeply more than anyone else can. Let me unpack my story a bit more so you get the full picture. My daughter Ava, who's 27 years old, made a decision that hit me really hard. She blocked me from attending her wedding. It's been a rough time. I've spent the last week just drinking and trying to deal with the sadness. To give you a bit more context, I wasn't just a guest with hurt feelings. I was the one footing the bill for her wedding. I thought of it as a wedding gift, a way to show my love and to support her as she started this new chapter in her life. Ava has always been a bit of a challenge. Ever since she was little, raising her wasn't a walk in the park. I faced many sleepless nights and stressful days. But when she told me she was finally settling down with someone she loved, someone she wanted to spend her life with despite their financial struggles, I felt a wave of relief and happiness. They didn't have enough money to put together the wedding of their dreams, so I stepped in. I thought it was the right thing to do, helping them out during such an important time. But oh boy, did things take an unexpected turn. A few days before the wedding, I realized I wanted to include my brother in the celebration. So I called the wedding planner to add him to the guest list. That's when the first red flag popped up. The planner hesitated and told me the guest list was already maxed out. I found that a bit odd, so I pushed a little harder. I asked him to send over the complete guest list, thinking maybe we could rearrange some things or squeeze in just one more seat. The planner was reluctant to share the list with me, but after I mentioned that I might have to talk to his boss if he didn't cooperate, he finally agreed and sent it over. What I saw next was a real shocker. Neither my wife's name nor mine were on the list. I immediately called the planner back, thinking there had to be some mistake. There's no way my own daughter would leave me out of her wedding, especially not when I was the one paying for it. But the truth was harder to digest than I expected. The planner, a bit awkwardly, informed me that he was specifically instructed by Ava not to include our names on the guest list. I demanded proof because this just didn't seem right. Reluctantly, he forwarded me the email conversations between him and Ava, and there it was in black and white. Ava had also instructed him to make sure the security was tight, and that we were specifically blocked from entering the venue. Can you imagine how devastating that was? The whole situation felt surreal. I knew Ava and I had our differences, and yes, she clearly was upset with me. But to exclude me from such a milestone in her life in such a cold, formal way, it stung more than I can express. This incident really opened my eyes to the depth of her feelings. To think that she would go to such lengths to keep me away from her wedding, despite all I was willing to do for her, was heart-wrenching. It's a tough pill to swallow, realizing your own child can feel so strongly against you that they would cut you out of one of the most important days of their lives. Continuing from where I left off, the entire situation was escalating, and I was at my wit's end. After discovering that I was deliberately excluded from the guest list, I was seething with anger. Ava's phone was consistently going to voicemail as it was her bachelorette party. I left a message urging her to call me back, but the call never came, neither that day nor the next. The silence was unbearable. By the third day, with the wedding looming just around the corner, I couldn't handle the uncertainty and the hurt anymore. I decided to confront her directly and drove to her apartment where she was living with her fiancé. I was informed by the wedding planner that Ava was already aware of my discovery about the guest list, which explained her silence. When I arrived, she agreed to meet with me, albeit briefly, amidst her busy wedding preparations. The tension was palpable. I confronted her, demanding to know why she had blocked me from her wedding. Her response was dismissive, almost cold. "Well, good for you," she said. "It saved you time and energy to travel to the venue. I'll send the photographs of the wedding if I get the time." Her words felt like a slap in the face, the casual dismissal of my feelings and efforts. At that moment, I lost all composure. I was beyond furious, but beneath that anger was a deep, profound hurt. I broke down, tears replacing the shouts, and asked her, heartbroken, "What did I do wrong to deserve this?" Her reply cut even deeper. She accused me of always siding against her, of flaunting my new wife, her stepmother, in her face, of not defending her when she felt she needed it most. She spoke of instances where I didn't stand by her when she behaved badly towards others, including bullying my niece. It was true that there were times when I couldn't defend her actions. How could I when she was clearly in the wrong, like the time she bullied or when she was caught with pills and illegal substances in school? But through all her troubles, I had tried to protect her. When she was struggling with substance abuse, I was there, trying to help her find her way back. Yet none of that seemed to matter now. Her perspective was set. She felt wronged by me in ways that apparently were unforgivable. Standing there in her doorway, I realized how wide the chasm between us had grown. The pain of this revelation, of seeing how much she resented me, mixed with the shock of being excluded from her wedding, was overwhelming. This wasn't just about a guest list. It was about years of accumulated grievances, misunderstandings, and hurt feelings. It was about a relationship that had fractured, perhaps beyond repair, and all I could do was stand there, feeling the weight of everything that had gone unsaid for too long. The whole situation escalated quickly from bad to worse. After Ava told me to leave her apartment, accusing me of bringing negativity into her new life, I reminded her that I was the one paying for her wedding. I was so upset that I told her I wouldn't be paying for it any longer. In my mind, I was trying to make her see the gravity of her actions, but it backfired. She shot back, telling me I wasn't doing her any favors. She said I owed her this much. That statement really threw me off. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After all I had done for her, she still felt I owed her more. The conversation turned very heated, and I finally snapped, saying I didn't owe her anything. I was trying to help her, and this was indeed a favor, a big one. But she couldn't see that. Her sense of entitlement shocked me. She asked me to leave her place, dismissing my feelings as just emotional drama. I went home, distraught and overwhelmed by everything that had happened, breaking down in tears. I shared everything with my wife, Mercy. Mercy has always been a gentle and forgiving person, but seeing me so upset, she became furious, a side of her I hadn't seen before. She suggested that we needed to take a stand, that we couldn't let Ava continue to hurt us like this, especially with such ingratitude. Mercy's words struck a chord with me. Ava had been financially dependent on me until just a year ago when she finally landed a decent job that allowed her to pay her own bills. Remembering this and fueled by the raw emotions of our confrontation, I made a drastic decision. I decided to cancel all the arrangements I had made for her wedding. I knew I would lose most of the money I had already paid as deposits for the venue and other services. But at that moment, I didn't care about the financial loss. My focus shifted to making a point, to showing her the consequences of her actions. I canceled the venue to ensure that her wedding plans would be disrupted. I thought about canceling the wedding planner too, but I held back, realizing that it would give her a chance to find out and perhaps make other arrangements. In a way, I wanted her wedding day to reflect the disruption she had brought into our lives. She would keep the wedding dress. I wasn't going to take that away from her. But in my hurt and anger, I felt justified in taking these steps. I saw it as a last resort to teach her a lesson about gratitude and respect. I was feeling guilty while doing all this, but when I looked back, I realized I had already done enough for her. If she didn't feel guilty cutting me off from her wedding, why should I? On the day of the wedding, when the wedding planner went to the venue with decorations and caterers, they were denied entry. It led to chaos when the security had to show the cancellation email. The wedding planner called me for the remaining payment as they had invested in the arrangement. I said it was no longer my business. The booking was not done by me, though I was paying for it, so they needed to catch hold of Ava. They said Ava had a scuffle with the venue guards when they blocked her entry. She was rescued by her fiancé, who arrived just in the right time, moments before she was being arrested for trespassing. She tried to call me, but I had blocked her number. She showed up at my house, but I had removed her access from the main gate. Not that I was afraid of her or I was hiding from her, but I wanted to keep myself at peace. She came to hurt me and would have hurt me harshly with her words, so there was no point in having any conversation. She did the same thing to me when I went to her house for a confrontation. It was high time that she paid for her mistakes. She was no longer a kid who could be forgiven over and over. Ava did not want relatives at her wedding. She wanted to do it just with her friends. I respected her choice. Good for me that I didn't have to answer my family and relatives about the wedding cancellation. She had to deal with that with her friends. It was just that my parents were not happy with what I did. They said we cannot be ruthless to our children, no matter how cruel they are to us. I told them that she had brought this upon herself after being mean and narcissistic for her entire life. The thing is, no matter how much I've ever told myself, the guilt is still there. I put on a brave face and justify my actions. But deep down, I do feel bad that it stopped my daughter's wedding. I don't know why I'm writing this, but pinning everything down, I'm burdened. My heart now for the updates. Update 1. Thanks for all the moral support. I didn't expect that people would laud me for my actions. I thought that I would be called out for being so vindictive towards my own daughter. Some of you asked about the background of Ava's hatred towards us. Sorry I missed that point. I didn't know how this format works, but here are the details. My wife, Mercy, 45, female, is my second wife. Ava is my daughter from my first marriage. Her mother and I were separated when Ava was 7. She found solace in her friend and left him for me. They were shifting to Europe and didn't want Ava, so I got custody of her. I got married to Mercy when Ava was 13, and since then, Mercy and I have been facing the wrath of Ava. She hates Mercy's guts. It was pretty understandable when she was a teenager. It was hard to see someone else replacing her mom. Mercy, as a teacher and a trained children's counselor, assured me that Ava would be fine once she hit adulthood. She would see me as an individual who needs a partner, and not only her dad. I married 5 years after the divorce. I thought when she grew up, she would understand that I parented her alone for 5 years after her mother left her. She and her new husband didn't even want Ava, but Ava was far from being grateful. She was hateful towards me and Mercy. The situation got worse every day. I had sent Ava to live with my sister. She had a daughter that was Ava's age, so I thought that she would get company there. Things were smooth for a few months, but not sooner than a year. My sister gave up on Ava. She said Ava had been fighting with her daughter like cats and dogs. It was their final year at school, and my sister didn't want her daughter's grades to fall because of these silly fights. So I had to bring Ava back. She somehow stayed with us until school. During her vacation, she went to stay with my parents. She refused to come back home and said that she would attend high school from there. My parents' house was a little far from her school to cycle, so I had to get a carpooling service for her. That was okay for me until she was happy and at peace. When her high school results came out, she had tanked miserably. Then I got to know that she got into the wrong company of students. She took pills and even had a bully boyfriend. That's why she wanted to live with my parents. She used to sneak out in the evening after my parents went to bed. She loitered around the city until post-midnight. She had to repeat her final year of high school. Getting her through college was another nightmare for me. Thank goodness I had some contacts that helped her get a seat at a decent college with her poor grades and miserable attitude. She wouldn't have secured any college. In college, she again got into the company of rookies and got immersed in drugs. Things went so far that she had to be sent to rehab. She graduated from college at 25. The next year, she relapsed, and I had to admit her again for a few months. It wouldn't be rude if I called her a pain in the butt because she indeed is. She has always troubled me, embarrassed me, and made my life miserable. Thank goodness I found such an understanding wife in Mercy. Had she been any other woman, she would have manipulated me to abandon Ava. But she was the one who always pacified me to be patient with Ava. I cannot thank you enough for all the support that she had led and all the sacrifices that she had made for me and Ava. Ava's problem were two things. I remarried, and second, I married Mercy. You see, Mercy is not a Native American. Her family originally belonged to the Middle East. They were immigrants living in the USA. She grew up at an NGO because her parents couldn't raise their 5 daughters. They somehow were able to flee the war-stricken zone, but they had nothing when they arrived in the USA. That's the thing that attracted me to Mercy. Despite her traumatic childhood with limited resources, she beat all the odds, got a master's degree, got a high-paying teaching job, and built a life for herself. Mercy is a self-made person, but Ava calls her a gold digger. Well, I ran a flourishing export business. We've been doing this for 2 generations, so yeah, we have somewhat generational wealth. Ava thinks that Mercy married me for my money because it was my first marriage, and mine was the second. Ava's point is, why did she marry a single dad who was 12 years older if not for the money? I'm 57, and Mercy is 45. I don't know who had fed Ava's brain with all these nuances, but that's her argument for calling Mercy the gold digger. You guys also commented a famous mother was involved in all this. So the thing is, she had never contacted me ever since her divorce. The last thing that I heard was that she was in Germany. Coming to the current situation, after the wedding was canceled, Ava tried to reach out to me to unleash her anger, but I had blocked her from entering the house or contacting me through any platform. My parents did not like that Ava's wedding was canceled because of me. They reached out to even offer to pay for her wedding if she wished to do it. They were disheartened when she chased them out of her house, accusing them of being in cahoots with me. She said mean things to them and told them to never visit her again. She held them responsible for that high school drug thing. She thinks my parents had informed me that she was caught taking pills in school. It was not them. They tried their best to protect her. I got to know this from her teacher who went to the gym with me after that incident. My parents changed their sides. They said that what I had done was right. I cannot let her feel entitled to use and hurt us however she wants. I'm still no contact with her. I don't know what she is up to. My parents visited her 2 days back, which was 10 days after her supposed wedding. They haven't married yet, so I'm guessing they are planning some other dates and not going for an intimate wedding, which could have happened by now. Oh yes, I blocked her credit card, the one which I'm paying for. She was not using it much after her job, but she still has access to it. I'm sure this is going to further anger her, but I don't care now. I don't have any guilt now after knowing that she had misbehaved with my parents. The poor souls are in their late 70s, and they've always loved and protected her. Ava deserved to be abandoned. Update 2. Hey guys, I know it's been over a year since I updated this thread, but I was in constant touch with everyone who commented on the post. People PM me after a few weeks. I got to know that Ava had married her fiancé in a private ceremony with just their close friends. I was happy that she was married and wished her a good life. I was not connected to her on any social media, so I didn't know what was happening in her life. My niece told me that Ava had moved to a neighboring city with her husband. She had updated it on her Facebook status. Life was running as usual. When a week ago, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Ava's husband, Matt. It got tense to think if some mishap had happened to her. He said that she was fine, but she wanted to meet me in person. It came as a surprise to me. I asked him the reason, but he said he would tell me when we met. He said he was in the city, and if I was free, we could meet up for dinner. I said okay. I secretly wished that it was a meeting to reconcile Ava and me. I thought she wanted to meet me but was ashamed to face me, so Matt was being the middleman. I went there with so much hope. After all, I'm a father, right? To my dismay, Matt was alone. She has no real permanent friend in her life. She asked me to take her to therapy or something. I said I wish I could, but she wouldn't let me come near her. He understood my circumstances, and I understood his. We both wanted to help Eva if at all she would let us do so. After knowing that, I couldn't help but go to meet Eva. It turned out to be as expected. She dropped explosions on me and Mercy, though I showed up alone. I didn't want Mercy to witness Eva's wrath. I apologized to her to calm her down. I didn't think about right and wrong at that time. She was going through a rough time, and I wanted to help her out. I said she could curse me whatever she wanted, but she needed to see a therapist first. She didn't listen and dug up the past. She yelled that she hated Mercy to the extent that she wanted to kill her. She said that she blocked us from her wedding because she was embarrassed to introduce Mercy as her stepmom. She was ashamed of her and was ashamed of me for marrying her. She didn't listen to me and chased me out of the house. She blamed me for all of her miseries in life. I don't know if I was right or wrong, and honestly, I don't care. I want her to come out of this, but I don't know how to help her. Update 3. Thanks for all the moral support. I was very disturbed while making the last update. The space really helped me release my nerves. Mercy suggested that I take the help of Eva's best friend from school. Her family was her neighbors, so we knew each other quite well. She was now living in South Africa. I reached out to her on social media and told her about the situation. I requested her to contact Eva, and if she opened up to her, I was betting that she would because she was the only one with whom Ava never had a fight. She assured me that she would help me and convince Eva to go to therapy, and gladly she did. Eva is going to therapy, and I'm guessing it's going well because a week ago, she met my parents and apologized to them for her misconduct. She confessed that her hatred grew so badly she was unable to control it. But she also said that she was never going to forgive me and still blames me for everything. I don't despise her anymore. I just wish her a good life, even if I'm not part of that. Thanks for all the support. I wish no father had to go through this when your child hates you to this level. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for half of my ex-girlfriend's flight that she can't use because we broke up and now possibly not even mine? My girlfriend, 24 female, and I, 25 male, broke up about 2 weeks ago. It was more her call than mine, but we both knew things weren't going well for a while, so I was sad but not surprised. We ended things amicably and said we'd still be friends, whatever that means. Anyway, we did the XCH of things in each other's apartment a couple of days after the breakup, and then didn't talk again until 2 days ago when she texted me. We had been planning to go on a trip to the Canary Islands this year. The plane tickets were about $800 apiece, and the Airbnb was like $600. So we decided I'd just pay for the Airbnb and she'd pay for the flights. The flights were non-refundable, and we'd already passed the date that I didn't get any meaningful refund from the Airbnb. So I decided to just get a friend to split the Airbnb and go anyway. I had been planning on telling my ex that I'd pay her for my ticket, so she didn't lose the money. But she texted me about it first on Friday. She offered to pay me for the Airbnb minus the cost of the plane ticket because she was still interested in going with a friend. I told her that I was actually planning on going with a friend and I was going to pay her for my ticket and still go. She said okay, but I actually needed to pay her for my ticket and half the cost of hers because she can't use it now. Basically, she says that she agreed to buy 2 plane tickets under the understanding that we would both be going on the trip, and I agreed to pay for the Airbnb under the same understanding. But since that's not happening, we should evenly share the lost costs. Since I'm still using the room in my ticket, the only lost cost is her $800 ticket, and we should each bear $400 from that. I told her that I didn't think that's fair at all. First of all, it was her idea to break up, so the reason we aren't going is on her. Second, there's no reason why she can't use her ticket. She should just get an Airbnb and still go with her friend. I even said I'd sit in her friend's seat and let her friend in my seat so they can sit together. Whether or not she uses her ticket is on her, and she bears any cost of that. She said that she didn't want to go at the same time as me, and also the good Airbnbs were taken for that time. Anyway, we went back and forth, and she even threatened to cancel the tickets, even though she can't get any money back. So I said, you know what? Go ahead and cancel them. Get whatever refund you can. I'll just buy my own ticket and not pay you back anything. She said, I'm not going to talk to you if you're being a dick. Let's talk about this later when you can be more mature. That's where it is right now. My friends are divided. Most say that I should at least pay her for my ticket, which I'm willing to do if she doesn't cancel it. But some say that I should pay for half of hers as well. I'm sticking firm that I won't pay for half of her ticket. Am I the a-hole? Update. Thanks to everyone who commented on my last post. I got so much more advice than I was expecting, and I appreciate it. A lot of you were saying the airline could do something. I told that to my ex, and she actually bought the tickets from a discount agency online, and there was no refund possibility. If you're curious, I can tell you how it all ended. I eventually told my ex that I was not going to pay her more than the $1 for my ticket under any circumstances, and that she could take it or leave it, and I just get my own ticket. She later asked if I'd be willing to let her use the Airbnb if she paid me the entire $600, basically letting me out of the whole trip altogether. To be honest, the Canary Islands were her idea in the first place. It's not like my #1 destination. I could take the money and go somewhere that I'm more interested in. I asked my friend who was going with me if he'd be interested in something cheaper and closer. He hadn't bought his plane ticket yet because he was waiting for me to sort everything out with my ex. We looked at options and decided to accept her offer and go to Biz. I had my ex agree in writing to pay for any fees or damages incurred at the Airbnb. I really don't think there will be any. She's not the type of person to damage a hotel room or anything, but I just wanted to be sure. I got Venmo the money by a male coworker of hers. They have been work friends for a while now, and I've met him a couple of times. I don't know if this is like a couples thing or what. I don't really think she cheated on me with him. I could see maybe her being interested in him possibly being a factor for our breakup, but I don't even know if they were together or going as friends. At the end of the day, I don't really care what she does. I got my money back. She gets her vacation. I'm guessing her coworker also bought his own plane tickets. So at the end of the day, he's the one eating the $100 loss. So we can have fun with that. My ex and I are technically amicable again, but I don't really plan on talking to her again. Thanks again for the advice.